Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. The House Oversight Committee alleges that a whistleblower has linked Joe Biden to a criminal scheme in which money was used to make policy decisions while Joe Biden was vice president. And Eric Schwerin, who is an associate of Hunter Biden, but who also dealt with Joe Biden's business and tax affairs, is now cooperating with a key House committee investigation. Alan Dershowitz thinks that Alvin Bragg cannot use Michael Cohen as a witness if Bragg knows that Cohen is lying. Otherwise, Bragg will be disbarred. And Dershowitz also argues that Bragg could face up to 5 years in prison if Bragg is found guilty of leaking details of President Trump's indictment to the media. After a drone attack on the Kremlin, the United States has denied Russia's claim about helping Ukraine with an assassination attempt of Putin using 2 drones. And Jair Bolsonaro has denied falsifying documents to show that he was vaccinated. Bolsonaro insists that he is not vaccinated and that he will never take the vaccine. The Canadian e-commerce giant Shopify announced that it will reduce its headcount by 20% and it will sell its logistics business to Flexport. Okay, let's get into it. On May the 3rd, the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed the FBI director. The committee alleges that a whistleblower has linked Joe Biden to a criminal scheme in which money was used to make policy decisions while Joe Biden was vice president. Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer and Senate Budget Committee member Chuck Grassley told Attorney General Merrick Garland and FBI Director Christopher Wray in a letter that we have received legally protected and highly credible unclassified whistleblower disclosures. In both Comer and Grassley's remarks, neither of them elaborated on the policy decisions or how much money was provided, if any. In his own statement, Comer said that the information provided by the whistleblower raises concerns that then Vice President Joe Biden allegedly engaged in bribery schemes with a foreign national. According to the letter, the document contains a detailed explanation of how and why the alleged criminal scheme was used. The letter also contains a detailed description of its purpose. The letter stated that based on the alleged specificity within the document, it would appear that the DOJ and the FBI have enough information to determine the truth and accuracy of the information contained within it. However, it remains unclear what steps, if any, were taken to investigate the matter. Comer and Grassley wrote, the significant public interest in assessing the FBI's response to this information, as well as growing concern about the DOJ and the FBI's track record of allowing political bias to infect their decision-making process, necessitate exacting congressional oversight. The lawmakers also claim that the DOJ and the FBI possess verifiable information that had not yet been made public to the American people. 2 months ago, Joe Biden responded to a reporter's question about claims that an associate of his son transferred $1 million to his family several years ago via a Chinese state-run energy company. Biden replied to the reporter, that's not true. And regarding the Hunter Biden investigation, a key business associate of Hunter Biden has been cooperating with House Republicans. Eric Schwerin, who is an associate of Hunter Biden, but who also dealt with Joe Biden's business and tax affairs, is cooperating with a key House committee investigation. James Comer said, now I feel confident that he's going to work with us and provide us with the information that we have requested. I think that Schwerin is going to be a very valuable witness for us in this investigation. The committee recently received information that Hunter Biden and his uncle James Biden are not planning to disclose all the information regarding the Biden family's foreign business transactions. So Comer has announced that his committee will not delay any further and they will begin using subpoenas immediately. Comer also noted that refusing to assist in the investigation undercuts Hunter Biden's claims that he doesn't have anything to hide. Comer said he could come in front of the House Oversight Committee right now and defend his good reputation. Comer also said he would have 20 Democrats that would definitely support him, and he could make 26 Republicans look bad if all this information we have from his laptop, all the emails that were in his own words, and all the audio that are in his own voice, if for some reason we're misinterpreting that, then he could make us look bad. Comer continued, but we all know that this family was involved in influence peddling, and this administration is doing everything in its ability to try to block oversight. Attorney Alan Dershowitz claims that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg could be removed from office for his case against President Trump. Dershowitz told DW's Tim Sebastian that while he does not support President Trump politically, he does believe that the indictment brought by Bragg against President Trump is absurd and politically motivated. Dershowitz argues that things might become difficult for Bragg if he uses former Trump attorney Michael Cohen as a witness at the trial. The trial is scheduled to begin in December. Dershowitz said, "I don't think an indictment can actually come forward now after the comments made by Robert Costello." Dershowitz added, if he uses Cohen as a witness, he could actually lose his bar license. It's unethical to put a witness on the stand who you know is lying, and he has to know that Cohen will be lying. Or he tries the case without Cohen, which would be very difficult. Or he does the right thing, he drops the case. Dershowitz also made a similar argument last month. Back then, Dershowitz argued that Bragg could face up to 5 years in prison. This is if he is found guilty of leaking details of President Trump's indictment to the media. Dershowitz noted that we know that the information was disclosed while the indictment itself remains sealed and before any official announcement was made or charges brought. It's unlikely that the leak came from the Trump team, which seemed genuinely surprised. According to New York law, leaking grand jury testimony to the public is a Class E felony that is punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Russia claims that Ukraine carried out 2 nighttime drone attacks targeting Vladimir Putin's Kremlin residence. According to the Kremlin press office statement, the twin drone attacks occurred late on May the 2nd. After being disabled by electronic warfare measures, both drones fell safely to the ground of the Kremlin in Moscow without casualties or material damage. Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesperson, told reporters shortly after that Putin was not in the Kremlin complex when the alleged attacks occurred. Reportedly, Putin was working at his residence outside Moscow. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin has also announced that all unauthorized drone flights will be banned throughout the Russian capital effective immediately. Moscow regards the incident as an act of terrorism, and it reserves the right to retaliate in a manner, place, and time that it chooses. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, who is now deputy head of Russia's Security Council, said that the incident leaves us no option but to physically eliminate Zelensky and his clique. However, Zelensky said that Kiev had nothing to do with the incident. Zelensky told a press conference during a visit to Finland that we don't attack Putin or Moscow, we fight on our territory. Shortly after the Kremlin announcement, Ukraine reported alerts for airstrikes over Kiev and other cities. 2 videos published on Russian social media channels showed 2 objects flying on the same trajectory toward one of the highest points in the Kremlin complex, the Senate Dome. The first drone was destroyed with little more than a puff of smoke left, and the second drone left a blazing wreckage on the dome. Checks on the time and location indicate that the video could be authentic. However, some Western analysts said that it was possible that Russia staged the incident in order to pin the blame on Kiev and to justify some kind of crushing response. The White House said that it was unaware of reports that Russia had accused Ukraine of attacking the Kremlin with drones to kill Putin. However, the White House could not authenticate the allegations. And on Thursday, Russia claimed that the United States was behind the alleged drone attacks. Putin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Ukraine had acted on U.S. orders in the alleged drone attack. And in response, White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said that Peskov was just lying and that the United States neither encouraged nor enabled Ukraine to strike outside its borders. Kirby added that it was still unclear what had happened at the Kremlin. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro's home was raided by Brazilian police on Wednesday morning. His trusted aides were arrested and his cell phone was seized. This was part of a probe into the COVID-19 vaccination records that Bolsonaro had submitted. The investigation may answer questions about how Bolsonaro, who has been critical of coronavirus and who has vowed to never get a vaccine, has registered as vaccinated in health records, which were made public in February. Supreme Court documents showed that federal police had found evidence of tampering with Bolsonaro's vaccine records in his last weeks as president in late December. Bolsonaro confirmed to journalists that he had been raided at his Brasilia home, and he reiterated that he had never been vaccinated. He also denied any role in forging documents. He said, "For my part, there was nothing falsified. I didn't take the vaccine, period." In addition to the vaccine, he's also been under pressure due to a number of investigations. These investigations include allegations of voter suppression, attacks on Brazilian election legitimacy, and the embezzlement of foreign gifts, among other things. However, Bolsonaro denied any wrongdoing in those cases. In a statement, the Brazilian police said that they were serving 16 search warrants and 6 preventative arrest warrants as part of the operation in Brasilia and Rio de Janeiro. However, they did not name those targeted. The Supreme Court that's overseeing the case released court documents on Wednesday, including an arrest warrant for Mauro Kidd. Kidd was one of Bolsonaro's personal aides as president. Kidd then stayed on as Bolsonaro's aide after Bolsonaro stepped down. A court document showed that on December 21st, Bolsonaro was registered as vaccinated in a scheme devised by Kidd. According to the documents, the entry made in a public office in suburban Rio de Janeiro was removed a week later. Bolsonaro's personal security officers were also arrested in Wednesday's operation. They were arrested over accusations that they falsified their vaccine records before flying with Bolsonaro to the United States. Police said that they were investigating a scheme to insert false data into a national COVID-19 database between November 2021 and December of 2022. However, Valdemar Costa-Neto, the head of Bolsonaro's political party, wrote on social media that we trust that all legal doubts will be cleared up and it will be proven that Bolsonaro did not commit illegal acts. Shopify announced that it will reduce its headcount by 20% and it will sell its logistic business to Flexport. Flexport is a supply chain management company. The Canada-based e-commerce giant announced the move on Thursday morning as a way of focusing on its main goal. Their main goal is to make commerce easier. To achieve this feat, however, the company must reduce side quests, which, according to the company's chief executive, Toby Lutke, are always distracting because the company has to split focus. Lutke's statement did not qualify how many staff would leave the company. However, before Spotify laid off about 1,000 workers last summer, it had roughly 10,000 employees. And 20% of the remaining workers would be about 1,800 people. In addition to staff departures, the note announced the sale of Shopify Logistics. Under the agreement, Flexport will become Shopify's official logistics partner. It is expected that the transaction will close by the end of 2023, but it is subject to certain conditions and regulatory approvals before it can happen. Shopify's announcement comes despite Shopify President Harley Finkelstein's statement in February that no more cuts were in the works. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you, but please double check to make sure that you are still subscribed, because some of our audience have reported that they're somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.